What was the Protestant Reformation?
The practices of the Catholic Church were criticized greatly despite the significant role religion and church played in the lives of people during the Middle Ages. The printing press spread several ideas that weakened the views of the Church. Causes of the Reformation include conflicts between the church rulers and the Pope trying to enforce power and control them, merchants refusing to pay church taxes, and it was claimed that the leaders of the Catholic Church were corrupt. Many priests broke their oath and others were not educated enough to lead a church-based teaching of the Bible. Between the late 1300s and early 1400s, advocates John Wycliffe and Jan Hus began and supported the church reform that denied the Pope's power. Several others include Desiderius Erasmus, Thomas More, Girolamo Savonarola, and later on Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a monk who taught scriptures in Germany. Not only did Luther want to teach people how to be good Christians, but he also began the Reformation against the Catholic Church. Friar Johann Tetzel sold indulgences to desperate Christians who wanted a place in heaven. Luther took a public stand against the friar and his corrupt ways. In Luther's reform, he wanted salvation only by faith in God's forgiveness, the teachings of the Church to be clearly based on only the Bible, and equality for people of all faiths. These ideas quickly spread and attracted followers. This led to the founding of Christian churches that didn't accept the Pope's authority, and a group known as the Lutherans. This was seen as a threat to rulers and merchants and an excuse to discard the church control. As a result, Luther was excommunicated by Leo X, declared an outlaw, and declared a heretic. However, Luther was supported and protected by many, including the ruler of his state.
The 95 Theses. Theses were written by Luther, posted on the door of the church, which explained that the church needed to change and was later excommunicated because of it. Henry VIII, King of England. He was a devout Catholic, however, he ended up breaking ties with the Roman Catholic Church since he wanted a male heir but had to divorce his wife in order to do so, which the church law did not allow. He ended up with 2 daughters and a son. After his death, his son Edward VI became king. During his reign, Protestants gained power. Ruling next was his half-sister Mary. She was a Catholic and returned church power to the Pope. In addition, she had many Protestants killed. After her was Queen Elizabeth I. She returned England to Protestantism and set up churches that appealed to both Catholics and Protestants. Moreover, she defended her people from the invasion of Philip II, King of Catholic Spain, and she was able to restore religious peace to her country. Another reformer, John Calvin, played an important role in the Reformation. He believed that all people are sinful by nature. Like Luther, he thought that humans are unable to earn salvation. Instead, God chooses elects to save. This doctrine is known as predestination. The religion based on Calvin's teachings like these are called Calvinism. As his ideas spread, he gained many admirers. One such admirer was John Knox. He helped spread Calvinism by putting Calvin's ideas into work. He organized churches so they were governed by small groups of elders or presbyters. His followers became known as Presbyterians. Other places then began to adopt this Calvinist form of church organization, allowing Protestant churches today to trace their origin back to Calvin. Other reformers. Many people helped spread the ideas of how the church should be and allowed for different reforms to be made to improve the church. One group of people were the Anabaptists. They only baptized those who were old enough. Another group were women. They protected reformers from being killed and also helped them out with their work.
The Catholic Reformation began around 1522 when Ignatius of Loyola wrote a book laying out a plan of daily meditation, prayer, and study. This book sparked a new branch of Catholicism called the Society of Jesus. This was the group of people that followed the teachings of Ignatius. They were more commonly called the Jesuits and had many missions around Europe. The 3 main ones were founding schools and teaching students classical studies and theology, converting non-Christians to Catholicism, and the most important one was to stop Protestantism from spreading. Popes later began to modify the Catholic Church. This all began with Pope Paul III, who took steps to reform the Church. First, he created a council to investigate indulgence selling. Second, he approved the Society of Jesus. Third, he used Inquisition to seek out and punish heresy in papal territory. And lastly, he called a council in the city of Trent to create doctrines for the church. There were 4 total doctrines that were agreed on. These included that 1. The Church's interpretation of the Bible was the only one that was correct. 2nd, that Christians needed faith and to do good deeds to be saved and absolved from sin. 3rd, that the Bible and Church both had equal authority in guiding Christians. And lastly, that indulgences were an official expression of Christian faith. Another pope named Paul IV carried out these doctrines and decided to create a list of books that were considered dangerous and offensive to the Catholic faith. This was called the Index of Forbidden Books. Catholic bishops across Europe were forced to gather up these books and burn them. According to our textbook reading, in Venice alone, 10,000 books were burned in one day. This meant that hundreds of thousands of books had to have been burned across Europe.
Significance of the Reformation. The Protestant Reformation changed the teachings of the Church and split the Church. The legacy of the Reformation. After the Reformation, Protestant churches flourished. Religion no longer united Europe. Monarch states gained power and set the stage for the modern world.
The Protestant Reformation left long-lasting effects on Christianity. Despite the persecution, Protestant churches flourished and left Europe separated by religion. After this event, the Church's power declined. However, this paved the way for future nations both politically and socially.